Chapter 7, Local Governments and Texas Government. The takeaways from this PowerPoint presentation is to be able to identify the different types of local government, to define the difference between general law cities and home rule cities, to explain municipal elections in Texas, including voter turnout, to describe county governments in Texas, including weakness and possible reforms, and to discuss special purpose districts. Federalism revisited. U.S. federalism assigns different functions to different levels of government. Local government is one such level. Nationwide, there are over 90,000 local government units. Texas has a little over 5,000. General law cities and home rule. Cities in Texas are chartered as either a general law city defined in state statutes or a home rule city. A city charter is its constitution. About 75% of all Texas cities are under general law. Home rule allows greater latitude in governing local affairs. Texas cities with a population of at least 5,000 may be chartered as home rule cities. Home rule cities may pass ordinances not prohibited by state law and may amend their charters with the approval of the city's voters. Incorporation, the process of creating a city. Legally, cities are municipal corporations, so the process of establishing a city is incorporation. Local citizen petitions the state, an election is held, and a majority approves establishment of a city with explicit boundaries, and the state issues a municipal corporate charter. In Texas, at least 201 citizens must live within a 2-square-mile area. 10% of the registered voters and 50% of property owners must petition for an election. If incorporation is approved, a city is granted a general law charter, and a second election determines city officials. All Texas cities have an extraterritorial jurisdiction that extends beyond city limits. General cities have only 1/2 mile of extraterritorial jurisdiction, but the distance increases as population increases to as much as 5 miles. Extraterritorial jurisdictions provide a city with some measure of regularity control over the growth of the surrounding areas. A city cannot be incorporated within the extraterritorial jurisdiction of an existing city unless the existing city approves. Texas cities have broad annexation powers. They may expand by annexing land within their extraterritorial jurisdiction. The city council can unilaterally annex land. Cities annex land for several reasons: to avoid being surrounded by other incorporated cities, to protect and enhance their tax base, to become more important politically. Rapid growth in Texas cities creates a counter-pressure from people who have been enjoying the benefits of a nearby city without paying for those benefits. Types of city governments. In the United States, 33% of the cities use a mayor council form of government, and 59% use a council-manager form. The mayor-council system has 2 variations, a strong mayor system and a weak mayor system. Their third formal local government is a commission form used in only a few cities nationwide. It's not used in Texas. A council-manager form of government is where voters elect a mayor and a city council, and the mayor and the city council appoint a professional administrator to manage the city. This is the most popular form of city government in Texas today. The mayor and city council establish the mission, policy, and direction of the city government. All administrative authority rests within the city manager. Here you have a figure of the city council form of government. Under the system, the voters elect a small city council, including a mayor with an attorney, a city clerk, and an auditor. The council hires a city manager who has administrative control over the city government. The city manager appoints and removes the major heads of departments of government and is responsible for budget preparation and execution. The mayor is the presiding officer of the council and most often has a vote on all issues. The mayor is the head of the state, the symbolic leader. Laws are passed by a majority vote of the council. A city manager is appointed by the city council, serves as a chief administrative officer. He or she can be removed at any time. Most are highly educated, experienced professionals who can instill a high level of professionalism in city staff. Managers provide information and advice to the council on the impact of policy changes. Council manager form of government, the weaknesses. Council members are part-time and usually serve only briefly. The city manager is not directly answerable to the voters and can appear to lack influence. Because of political coalitions on city council, a city manager may be able to ignore parts of the community in terms of providing city services. A powerful city manager can skew and hide information in order to control policy decisions. In the weak mayor form of government, the mayor's formal powers are limited. The mayor shares power with other elected officials and the city council, has only limited control over the budget, and serves a limited number of terms. He or she has little or no veto. In the strong mayor form of government, the mayor appoints and removes department heads. He or she controls the budget, is not term limited, and can veto actions of the council. Many home rule cities in Texas blend strong and weak mayoral powers. Here's a figure of weak mayor-council form of city government. The mayor shares power with other elected officials, the attorney, treasurer, auditor, and city clerk, and with the city council. The mayor and city council oversee the department heads. This diagram shows the strong mayor form of city government. Here, the voters elect a mayor and city council. The mayor, the chief of staff, oversee various departments and can appoint and remove major heads of the department. A commission form of government is where voters elect department heads who also serve as members of the city council. No home rule city in Texas uses this form today. The city of Galveston was able to quickly rebuild after a hurricane by adopting the commission form in the early 20th century. Other major cities followed their lead. Each of typically 5 commissioners were elected citywide as head of the city department, combining both legislative and executive functions. Due to several fundamental weaknesses, few commission governments remained by the end of World War II. The figure that you see on this slide discusses a commission form of government. This is where voters elect department heads who also serve as members of the city government or council, and voters also elect an auditor. The weaknesses and impact of a commission form of government. The commission form created many problems. Citizens did not always elect competent administrators. The combination of legislative and executive functions eliminated the separation of powers and its checks and balances, and log rolling set in. Initially, there were no single strong leaders in the position of mayor, which proved to be a major shortcoming. The form did serve a transition between the old weak mayor and the city council form of government. Many cities retained the term commission for their city council. Texas municipal electoral system, at-large electoral systems. At-large electoral systems and single-member district systems are the 2 most common elected types. Many cities led by early commissions chose to move away from the single-member district system and instead elected council members at large by all voters in the city. There are several variations of the at-large electoral system. The at-large by place is the most common in Texas. Some cities such as Houston use a combination of at-large and single-member districts. The single-member district electoral system. In the single-member district elections, each city council seat is assigned to a specific district. City districts have approximately equal population. The voters in each elect a city council member who usually must reside within the district limits. Most major cities in Texas were forced by the Voting Rights Act to change to single-member district for at least some city council seats. With single-member district systems, the number of minority candidates elected has increased. The council members have shown greater concern for the neighborhood issues and administrative affairs. Cumulative and preferential voting system. In a cumulative voting system, each voter has votes equal to the number of seats open. Voters can concentrate all their votes on one candidate. Several cities and school districts have adopted this system. In a preferential voting system or instant runoff system, voters rank candidates for city council. The most preferred candidates are elected. No city in Texas uses the form today. These alternative systems result in many more minority candidates being elected. Nonpartisan elections. All municipal elections in Texas are technically nonpartisan elections in that candidates are on the ballot without any party designation. However, the use of nonpartisan ballots does not eliminate partisanship from local politics. For decades, nonpartisan organizations ran slates of candidates and dominated city politics. Partisanship has been a factor in recent city elections, especially mayoral races. Voter turnouts in local elections. In Texas municipal elections, voter turnout tends to be low for several reasons. 1. Some cities conduct local elections in off years. 2. Many cities hold their elections in May rather than November. 3. Often city races are uncontested. 4. What media coverage exists tends to concentrate on mayor races, and suburban elections are often ignored. The lack of interest is disturbing because city governments have great authority over numerous aspects of our daily lives. Special district governments. Special purpose districts are governments created to perform a specific set of duties or functions. Some are single purpose, like fire. Others multi-purpose, like water, sewers, street repairs. Some cover several counties, and others are very small. Texas has over 2,700 special purpose districts. The primary reason is to provide services where no other governmental unit exists to provide them. It is difficult for citizens to keep track of the many special districts that provide their services. Many have taxation authority and can raise property taxes. School districts. Public education in Texas is largely administered by over 1,000 school districts. All but one of these districts are independent school districts, which operate independently of any city or county. A school district is governed by a board of trustees elected in nonpartisan elections. The superintendent is the chief executive officer, a role similar to the role of city manager in city council manager system. Many school districts are politicized, increasing the pressure of superintendents. Conclusion. Local governments provide critical services and have important effects on the daily lives of citizens. In Texas, city governments are principal providers of local services. A city council manager system governs in most major cities, bringing a degree of professionalism often lacking in county governments and other units. County governments have resisted change, retaining a form designed by and for an agrarian society.